Alright, Kembo Kembo to Tanzania Mazulu, Kimfumu Kyakuisa, Zambia Malaysia, Zambia Kabenesha Zamonene, Lusukamunu, Blessings, Yangi Zole Beluka, Matonda Mamengi, for all of you who are tuning into this channel today. We give all praises to the Most High God of Truth, Mfumu Yahweh Kongo Swanini Samana. We give all of you, Kokwisi Ambote, welcome to all of you who are scattered across the world, to all the Banabetu that continue to wake up. The world is beginning to become a different place. And we're going to see what's going to be going down because as in the days of Noka, the world is in complete darkness, following after false teachings, false doctrines of devils. So many people are it's like it says in those days, more people would be being led astray than people knowing the truth. And that's the real interpretation that the Messiah was teaching. So many people are following the one who was in his own name and not the one who come in the Father. And he already knew uh, that they said they follow another Messiah that was not preached. Many people think they're following the truth of the Messiah that was here 2,000 years ago when you're talking to the imposter. And this is Caesar's Messiah as we talk about him. And we're going to talk about what's going to happen now for all the people who think that Caesar's Messiah is teaching the truth. Never was, growing up, many of us questioned things, but we never had our answers. Now it's starting to come to pass why. I honor those who have brought out information, but the one thing that was made clear to me, by the Messiah himself is that you never sell him, you don't buy him, and you cannot, benefit from his truth. The problem is, sorry. The problem is you have a lot of people who sold out their people. I'm going to show you that the war between the Canaanites and all of their enemies, it goes back to Genesis 10, okay? The 72 nations, they are not where they're supposed to be because of these people who were angry that they had to serve the lineage of Ensemble for all their eternities. And now the people who were supposed to get the bread and not the crumbs, are labeling themselves as Jacob, which is illegal. They're writing their names in as the 12 tribes, okay? And they're doing this because they control the wealth, they have the money, they have the power, and they're using the same tactics, just like what got Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed. They have been doing this for several generations. It's not like it just started this century. It's like it's been going on for a long time. It's like the Father made it clear, anyone who's passing people over the fire of Moloch, and the reason why you don't know that that's the frog god that they worshiped, okay, that why you don't think they teach you this is because they know, okay, that they've been lying about things, is that you're following the path of the Judas goats, not the one who was never a Judas, okay? So then, of course, they use this concept of what's called a Judas goat. They use what's called a sacrificial lamb. They do what's called a come clean scenario where, okay, we're going to come clean and give you some information because those are the rules the enemy had to follow anyway. Just like the Most High got to tell you what he's going to do before he does it, the imposter has to do the same thing. But when he does it through clever ways that you have to read between the lines, right? So that's why, many people are following the lion that's seeking whom he can devour. And now he's picking, he can pick whatever he wants because he's gathered so many people, in deception versus though the conquering lion of by Judah, he's making you think he's the conquering lion when he's the imposter. And that's what happened in the days of Noah. Lucifer convinced Yaledi and many followers of Setu that he was was Adama when he wasn't, and this caused a lot of confusion. Well, he did it again, and this happened, especially this happened around the time of Pope Leo X and the Sanhedrin and the Knights Templars and all these other things that's going on. I decided to go ahead and rewatch the JFK movie because there's a lot of coding in that movie, and we're going to get into what happened over the last 70 years. Because even in that movie, you will see Eisenhower talking about the military industrial complex. And we're going to get into what's really going on right now, especially like what just happened up in Canada. Okay, um, they had the same thing that's keeps going to keep happening, people, because they are moving forward with the book that was put out in 1988. And I encourage you to get it. It's called The New World Order. Okay, they following that playbook. That playbook is going right now. Okay. If you think that you're not being, even in the movie JFK, um, when they showed an actor who was playing Jack Ruby, and he was being interviewed by the Warren Commission, and he was talking about a new form of government is going to take over this world, and I won't be around to see you. So you can go watch that movie. There's a lot of coding in it because they're going to show you some things. And see, now I know even more about the Kennedy stuff. We're going to get into that about why it was so dangerous, and then what happened after the 1970s until then to continue to stop what was to come. Okay. So, again, I don't own the rights to any music. I'm gonna get the music started. We're gonna get going on this, and we're gonna tell you where we are when it comes to the next phase of what's happening because they are initiating their Hunger Games initiative, but the Most High, he's getting ready to maneuver himself because he's everywhere. Okay, he's always been here from the beginning. Rome did a mockery of him in the cartoon Tatanyambe. Okay, the problem is way too many Judas goats feeding themselves and not the flock. That's why even Toko and Kimbangu said this, why they were the enemy of the state. The world is the enemy of the people who run it, and they're going to see that this was all part of the initiative. They have already come clean and said that the education system was not what they said. They have come out and told you about the food industry. I'm gonna talk about how they took the slave food and put it in the restaurants. Okay, this is how they got back at them damn Yankees, okay, after the Civil War. But there's more to it than that because the people who were forced into giving up slavery, there's two things that happened. First of all, they were mad about it. Second of all, there were those who didn't want to leave. So they wanted their revenge too against the field Negroes. And their revenge against the field Negroes is we gonna keep you going in circles and we gonna keep promoting ourselves and keep promoting all this stuff when in reality we should have been gone since the 1800s and they know it. That's why people keep going back to, well, what really happened in the 1800s? What about this? What I say? I'm telling you, man. Just because they was Native Americans doesn't mean they was worshiping the truth. This is a war that's been going on since the Hittites and the Egyptians fought each other with Ramses, but now the Hittites are saying that we are the 12 tribes. It's like, like I tell people, you want to believe in it. You want to be a Bantu Famazi, which is the word we use for cheesehead, which was the people who wore the cube on their head and they wrapped the snake skin and all that. Yeah, we did that too. That was Saturn worship. This is the thing that people understand is now these demigods or these fallen angels, they're telling you we don't exist. And they're putting it out there in Marvel comics and Hollywood. And Hollywood was the one that the witches used for their tree, but now the Druids say, no, we don't exist because the Druids are the ones who invented Christianity to begin with, because those were the people that were highly touted by Caesar in his day as the oracles, and they aligned themselves with the twin brother of Thomas. And this is where you get the concept of Christianity. And Thomas was himself a Bantu. I mean, and so was his brother Clarence. Okay, so the man of sin has now been revealed. So we're getting ready to go to the next phase. The problem is everybody got caught up on the modified leper that Rome started, like the man said that they started whitewashing everything during the Renaissance period and then changing the history because the concept was these fallen angels and these hypocrite gods wanted to make sure that none of the remnant of the 72 tribes of Genesis 10 got into the kingdom. And to for doggone sure, these what they call Ngigi children didn't receive the truth either. All right, so we get started here. One moment. All praises. Well, again, I don't own the rights to the music. Okay, all praises and bote. I'm gonna get into the book of Hanukkah. Now, he was never called Enoch. And all praise to those who have been giving out information. We thank you for this. However, like I said, a lot of people are going to understand that a lot of our headache could have been avoided if people would have just quit trying to act like they know everything. And that's the part of the issue is I know I struggled with this growing up, but then I was humbled several times over my life. And, even back in the 90s, going into the 2000s, there was things that was being revealed to me that realized that some things were definitely off. I started to understand things better, but, they were trying to really block that. And so, a lot of these scriptures were withheld. People don't even know the first book that was always read by the chosen people and their followers was the book of Hanukkah because we went by that calendar. We went by these teachings, all the prophets, everybody went by Hanukkah because he was above all the angels. Okay. This was going up until Constantine. He and his followers were the ones that started to strike out during the four ecumenical councils what books were going to be put in. They stripped down, they removed like 95% of the Old Testament, 85% of what they want to call the New Testament, and started creating these things we call Bible with the word that came from the word biblios, which was really a Phoenician city because it was always called the Nkanda Yanzambi. Now, why people don't know this anymore is because the so-called Egyptian gods that people claim they don't worship anymore have turned on everybody, and they have promoted the Canaanite belief above all. Okay. And this is exactly why so many people don't understand the bottom became the top and the top became the bottom. The top was the Banabetu of Isolele, the bottom was the Kanani. When the Most High turned the world over to the hands of the wicked, every time this happened, we would go into captivity. The Banabetu of Isolele would go to the bottom and Kanani would go to the top. And this is the problem that people don't understand is this, what that scripture means when the Most High says, he turned the world over to the hands of the wicked. It means that he turned them over to the Baal worshipers. The problem is now the Baal worshipers are saying that they worship the Most High. It's like, no. Okay, so in the book of Hanukkah, it says right here, this is why they took it out. Woe to you who build your houses through the grievous toil of others, and all their building materials are the bricks and stones of sin. I tell you, you shall have no peace. Woe to them who reject the measure and eternal heritage of their fathers, and whose souls follow after idols, for they shall have no rest. Woe to them who work unrighteousness and help oppression, and slay their neighbors unto the day of the great judgment. For he shall cast down your glory and bring affliction upon your hearts. He shall arouse his fierce indignation and destroy you all with the sword. And all the holy and righteous shall remember your sins. And in those days, in one place, the Father together will, and in those days, in one place, the fathers together with their sons shall be smitten. Smitten means destroyed, and brothers who with one another shall fall in death, till the streams of flow with their blood. For a man shall not withhold his hand from slaying his sons and his sons' sons, and the sinner shall not withhold his hand from his honored brother. From dawn till sunset, they shall slay one another. Now, this is why you're going to see why we're dealing with all these wars that have been going on for quite a long time, okay? All right, so now, and the chariot shall be submerged to his height, and in those days the embassy angels shall descend into the secret places and gather together into one place all those who brought down sin, and the Most High will arise on that day of judgment to execute great judgment among the sinners. And over all the righteous and holy he will appoint guardians from amongst the holy angels. So again, from amongst all the guardians will come from the Umbasi that are meant to be holy. Now, the problem with this is, and this is where the imposter likes to play his game, this is going to be finalized very soon. Like I talked to the embassy, they said, no, many people who think that they're walking in like the righteous angels are going to be embarrassed because the concept is these people try to defile everything. It goes back to what it says in Revelation. You tolerate that woman Jezebel that causes my servants to eat defiled food, that they will engage in sexual immorality, which was the intent of the wicked elites, that everybody will blaspheme the Holy Spirit. That was the objective when the Messiah, he came and he spoke, the one who came in his father's name, not the pig god. When he said that, he said, you can blaspheme the Father and still find repentance. You can blaspheme the Son and still find repent. But if you blaspheme the Holy Spirit, there's no repentance whatsoever. So the problem is Caesar at that time, Tiberius, and then Augustus, and then Caligula, and then you had Nero, and all these other people were working together because they were at war with our people and the Sanhedrin and all the other nations, okay, even Egypt, to establish the dominant power in Rome. Okay, the problem was the Banabetu of Isolele who walk in righteousness. We are the real kings and queens of the earth. Well, that was a threat to those who were moderate, who were really teaching paganism and lying about it, or teaching uh, sacrifices that were no longer necessary because the Most High did not need sacrifice. Like Davidi says, you don't require it. And Saul says when we were pagans, because what happened with Adamu, when he turned against the Most High, he did something wicked. Okay? The problem is many people are being misled by this concept of black gods, white gods, whatever color gods you want to call them. You're being misled because you're dealing with an imposter who resembles the Messiah, who resembles the Father, who resembles everything, and he is telling you he is the only God. Okay? Or he's acting like he's talking to the Most High, but he's talking to the hypocrite. Okay, so when you're mixing pagan and non-pagan together, you're always going to be doing witchcraft and sorcery. Okay, that's the whole concept. So now he says to guard them as the apple of an eye until he makes an end of all the wickedness and all sin. And though the righteous sleep a long sleep, they have not to fear. And then the children of the earth shall see the wise in security and shall understand all the words of this book and recognize that their riches shall not. Now, see how it says it? Why did they take out the scripture of Hanukkah? It says it right there. Because if you're wise, you will understand it. Okay, they don't want you to do that. See, the enemy says, oh no, see, that's why when you talk about many people who say, why does Satan fear black people? Because the problem is he knows who many of not all black people are the same, we know this, but he already knows who the 12 tribes are. Okay? That is why they did everything possible to get all of the lineages erased over the last 120 years. Like in the days of Noah, they didn't want you to understand the last 120 years is just like what happened when Noah was building his ark. Okay? But this time they wanted to change the outcome, to try to change the outcome of what happened in those days that they lost. Now they think they're going to win. Okay? And that's why they did everything they possibly could to keep everybody too busy and too distracted. And they told you what you can worship. And they told you how you're supposed to live. And they told you how your government's supposed to control you. That's why when they banned the Geneva Bible that said, for we don't just battle against principalities of this earth and the high priests and the high principalities and the rulers, meaning that they already knew the people who run the world are in contracts with the enemy, and they're lying about it. But then they took the scriptures and twisted it. Oh, listen to the people appointed over you. Not if they're worshiping the devil, you don't. This is the deception. But they made you think, oh no, we're not worshiping the devil. Well, look at the world. It coincides with what I just read and what it says in Hanok. If you It says, woe to you who build your houses through the grievous toil of others. Okay, that is the curse. Cain's curse was he was to till the ground. That's why he's the tillman. He is the donkey. He was turned into the bottom. But what has now happened is the donkey people are making you work for them, creating these false and imposter companies all over the world where they are now benefiting and reaping what they're supposed to be doing the opposite. And they were supposed to give it up 100 years ago, but they keep saying no. Because the bottom line is that so then all of the hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, that they keep controlling the media and what they're telling you is really the judgment against of the apocalypse of Abana when he says in the ingathering of the see in the apocalypse of Abana, it says in the ingathering of the tribes there will be plagues among the heathen. Well, then Esau, he tried to hijack the prophecy. He did this through what happened in the 1900s when they drafted all this stuff. They even tried to put Israel in Africa, and they were denied because this is going to prove my point. The Portuguese said we don't own the land. Well, who does? This is where we're getting sold out by our kings and our queens and people who are being used in the deception of the three frogs. Okay? The whole point of what they have been trying to do is to erase all of the Inzilan Zambia Bantwe. That is what Toko himself really was, and that is what Kimbangu was. But then people get it, they get it twisted. The Tokoists are supposed to be in Zealand Zambia Bantwe. The Kimbanguists are supposed to be in Zealand Zambia Bantwe. That is not what's happening anymore. The churches are supposed to be in Zealand Zambia Bantwe. No, they're not. Because what they have done is they have made you think an Edomite replaced the high priest. No. But they also made you think an Ishmaelite replaced the high priest. No. They've also made you think an Ashkenazi person replaced the high priest. None of these people have authority. The Ishmaelites don't have authority. The Edomites don't have authority. None of these, and they're going to call everybody Edom, and they're Edom themselves. Okay? So now you're seeing why the world has no peace, because you're following the people who rejected the Messiah, claiming that they didn't when they are. So then you see, why does this lady lose her ostrich farm? Because you're praying to Tammuz, buddy. Okay? Tammuz is a liar. You're praying to the vampire. Okay? The vampire is telling you he's the most high. No. And everybody's celebrating the birthday of the vampire. It's like, nah, man. We already did Christmas. It was months, it was weeks ago. We're now getting ready for uh no what you call it? Pentecost. But Rome is telling you, no, Pentecost is in May. No, all of this is pagan. You're going off of traditions of men, not the traditions of the Most High. No, Pentecost is now coming up. But you're going to, the preacher will tell you, oh no, Pentecost, sisters and brothers, Pentecost is going to be when we tell you. Exactly what they tell you, not what the Most High says. That's why it was all indoctrination. Let's see. So now, what it says right here, and then it says, woe to you sinners on the day of strong anguish, yea, who afflict the righteous and burn them with fire. So what is he talking about? Those people who are trying to walk in truth, you're trying to push them into both a physical and spiritual fire of the hypocrite. So it's like we're trying to run away from being thrown into the fire of Moloch, and you're trying to throw us in there. And this was done in slavery. This was done throughout this is still being done actually by those who are not understanding that you're following frogs. Okay? And so now you're hating the people who are trying to help you to get away from the stupid frog god, and you're loving the people who are taking you to the frog god. That is what the days of Noah means. And so, in people's ignorance, the Christ you're following is the Judas Christ, not the one who was not a Judas. Okay? Yea, and afflict the righteous, ye shall be requited according to your works. Woe to you, you abstinent of heart, who watch in order to devise wickedness. So you really have people that sit there and you don't understand what I'm talking about. They're looking at the world and how they can further cause problems, how they can cause people pain, suffering, how they can contrive some kind of means to cause people harm. And I'm telling you, you're going to discover these people stood there and acted all nice and light and polite and lovely, and inside of themselves, they wanted to destroy you. That's why they don't want you to have the real Holy Spirit, because then you will see that. When he says inwardly they are ravening wolves, if you are not spiritually blind, you will see that. It doesn't matter who's teaching you. If they have plans to do harm to the sheep, they're going to be exposed. Okay? If they're going to sit there and hate people for no reason, they're going to be exposed. If they're going to sit there and blame people for something that they themselves caused, it's like I told people, This system in the days of Noah, what it means is you are made to be a walking hypocrite and not know it. Okay? This is the part what we're talking about. You were designed to be a walking hypocrite and not know it. So you have so many people, and I'm gonna get into the scripture of Second Ezra here in a minute, that you don't even know about why he meant it. I told people the everybody who was created by Esau is a spy. And you have everybody thinking, well, this is who Esau is, and this is who Esau is, and this is who. No, Esau is everybody who worships idols. Okay? That's why you're going to get the Jewish people say, well, we should be destroying you people, but it's a pot calling the kettle black because so are they. They are idol worshipers. And they're not even who they say they are. But, like I tell people, you're going to find out the hard way because now with these Abrahamic Accords that have been signed, you no longer have rights. The whole world is now under the so-called third temple they're claiming they're trying to build. Okay. So let me go into the apocalypse of Abana. Abraham. His name was never Abraham. That's Nimrod, pretending to be Abana. They always like to change it because they come from the hypocrite Messiah. They know it. Okay. Abraham is connected to the Canaanites who are worshiping Nimrod. And that's who they're calling Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. They're calling Nimrod that, and that's why they hated it when Toko said, "You're praying to Nimrod." Well, a lot of his followers are back praying to Nimrod, and they've been lying about it. And that's why he had to go correct the Kimbanguists because they went back to Nimrod and they lied about it. And this is the problem. Nimrod, in the movie The Lion King, Sokar is Nimrod. And he can be any color, Asian, black, white, whatever you want to call him. It's still the same idiot that thinks he's going to destroy Tatanyambe, okay? Who's the one that knocked down the tower. All right, so here we go. The punishment of the heathen and the ingathering of Israel. Now, of course, I'm going to show you when you go to type it in. Let me go to the. All right, so Isaiah. This is the Kikongo. This is how we really said it. And then they're going to translate it into Israel. Okay, we did not call ourselves Israel. It was Israel. All right. So now we go back to what he says. But while he was speaking, I found myself upon the earth and said, O eternal mighty one, I am no longer in the glory of which I was on high, and what my soul longed to understand in my heart, I do not understand. There's a reason why many people don't even read this scripture, because I'm going to show you why. And he said to me, what is desired in thine heart, I will tell thee, because thou hast sought to see the 10 plagues I have prepared for the heathen. Now, what is really a heathen? It is is a pagan or someone who was created by Ngigi. What I'm talking about, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Okay, because he was responsible for the curse of leprosy on people. And he created a lot of copycats or modified people because the Most High had a rule. You cannot use my children to build your cities. No way. That's why it was illegal. And then of course, none of the children of Noka were supposed to be building anything for these wicked gods. So they had to make they had to make workers. But see, that was the problem is they're going to cover it up and say, oh no, cloning just now started. Yeah, right. They've been doing cloning since before the days of Noah. That's why it says what will happen before will happen again. Nothing is new under the sun. Ecclesiastes. You think they didn't have clones in the past? You fool yourself. In every 7 and 10 kingdoms, they had these modified people. Okay? he said, now I'm going to show you where the doomsday clock comes from, that they know about it, and they try to push it back. Okay? What is desired in thy heart, I will tell thee, because thou hast sought to see the 10 plagues. So there's 10 plagues that I have prepared for the heathen. So Tatanyambe, the God of the Banabetu Solide, he has prepared the plagues against the nations, okay, which is all the people worshiping Baal. All right, so he says beforehand of passing over the 12th hour of earth. This is where they're getting the doomsday clock. What is the 12th hour? This is why you keep talking about midnight. Why you think you keep talking to Cinderella? Oh, the magic runs out at midnight. Okay, we're coming to this now because we're in the 12th hour. Okay, we're already in it. They keep trying to undo it. This is what 1984 Wonder Woman. Oh no, don't let the magic run out. I gotta fix it. You know, because he says it right here. Hear what I have divulged to thee, and it shall come to pass. The first is pain of great distress. Okay, what do you think that is? This is your sicknesses, this is your wars, this is your all this stuff. When people are having what do you call it? Anxiety. Okay? Well, you think this is anxiety, this is depression, this is all this stuff right here. The second relation, conflagration of many cities. What is conflagration? All kind of chaos. Cities are in, you go to hustle and bustle, you see like Denver and New York and London and all these other cities. Look how they acting now. Um, Tokyo, Japan, all this stuff. Everybody is hustling and bustling to make ends meet, right? Because you're working for the man. Like, what they say, I don't want to work for the man. Well, the man is that is why they don't tell you the 666 is the mark of Cain. Okay. Well, here we go. Here, and it shall come to pass, the second, okay, the third, destruction and pestilence of animals. Okay, so the lady was upset because they said, oh, your ostriches, they have avian flu, and we're going to go, and they went and shot them all. She's like, oh my God, they're killing my animal. Okay, I watched her crying, right? You got to understand what I told y'all, okay? Tatanyambe is not playing with the heathen. So you talk about animals, avian flu, they had cow, where they had the cow disease, they had chickens and all this stuff. Oh yeah, the pig they had issues with the pig, and we got to slaughter these pigs. They got all kind of sickness. Okay, he's showing you worship a pagan god, you are going to lose the animals that you're feeding off of. Okay, that's exactly what happened, like what happened in Gipity, when all the cows went falling down like this. And he was like, so why you think now the veterinarians coming up with ways to say, oh, we got to come up with ways to save these animals, but they doing it the wrong way. So then what's going inside of the animal is also going inside of you. Okay, I work for a vet. He gave me the information. He was like, hey, what do you think about this stuff? This is back in the 90s. And I was like, what? What are they doing to the cows? You know, he showed me the paper. Okay. Um, the fourth, hunger of the whole world of its people. Oh, let's do the movie. Donald Sutherland, who just recently passed away around the time that Donald Trump was running for re-election, right? What movie did he play in? Hunger Games. You think this is people? They following the playbook. But now they calling them. The problem is the people who are running this are now calling themselves. That's why he's like, no, they're not the 12 tribes, and I'm going to deal with that. Okay. Now, the fifth, destruction among its rulers. All right. So why you think the UN and people out here and these countries out here fighting each other? You now see what's going on with Macron and all this. You see what's going on with Parliament in England. You see what's going on with Donald Trump, and now you see what's Putin, and they fighting with what's his name, Kim Jong Un. You see the Vietnam War. You see all of these people that was going down, and see Toko even said it. He said the Most High gave it to America to fix it. So let me get into what happened to Kennedy. But of course, I got the picture that this is why his father got in trouble. He sent the double, but we're gonna get into that. Hold on. So now, uh, you had all the people talking about this whole thing with the Bay of Pigs, the CIA, la 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 la. That was just the smokescreen because America was running an illegal war in Africa. The UN, they know it. They were running an illegal war in Africa between Russia. They were using Russia and oh wait, camera went out. Sorry. Apologies. Okay. Russia and Cuba sent a bunch of military people over to the continent of Africa, specifically to Angola, claiming to be helping my brothers over here fight against the tyranny of the colonizers, right? Now, in the movie, they say we had Castro on our side, and then we try to kill him. Okay, what really happened here? This is the deception. And I thank the elder who shared the information with me, and I'm going to share it with you because he knew the Tokwis back when Tokwa was still here. That's why he knew the guy that's not running the Tokwis said, that ain't the same guy. It's not him. Okay, because I knew Toko. This not the same. And he knew the Kimbangwas, but I told him, I said, dude, I said, man, you don't understand that they had a deal working with Mobutu, and that's why Toko got mad. Okay, so Mobutu was controlled 100% by the French consulate. Now let's get into the French, shall we? And the whole deception there. All right, so we're going to go back to what happened between the Knights Templars right around the time they had an issue with Pope Innocent, not Pope, Pope, what is his name? No, I can't. His name was Bertrand, okay? His real name was Bertrand, but he was called Pope Clement the Fifth. Now there was a king. Now this is when Rome was having issues. Because they had they had a King Philip of France. Okay, now this is when you had the Crusades going on between Rome and the Crusade. There was no Protestant church. Now, people, get that out your head. There was no Protestant church in 1307. So let's forget about that right now. Okay, there was only the Catholics, which was the Church of Laodicea, and they were claiming to have the authority over all the other six churches. That was the conflict between them and the Byzantine Empire, which was Russia, which was the Eastern Orthodox Church. This is the history. The problem is the Most High had put his replacement for the deception of the Pope in Congo din Totala with the King of Congo. There's the Vicar of Christ. He was now the placeholder, and his job was to help all the other people of the Banabetu of Isolele that were being mistreated by Rome to restore themselves to their proper state. Okay? Yeah, the fallen angels had a problem with that. Believe you me, they had a problem with that. Because it was being reestablished during the 1100s while the Crusades were still going on, while the three frogs were still battling over who is in control of the Temple of David, when it was always supposed to be the Zilan Zambia Bantwe from the time of the first century when the Most High brought massive destruction around the world for what happened to his kingdom by the other nations. Because Asia was involved, because yes, there was trade going on with Asia even back then. Rome was involved. The Arabs were involved. This is even before they had any of these named religions you even knew of. Before the Messiah even came, you had trade and commerce going on, and the hypocrites had built a version of the now what you call the stock market with the Temple of David. That is why Masinisi Fumayesue Yusu, Jesus, came in there and said, hey, you turned my father's house into a den of thieves, meaning that they were trading the creation and profiting just like that. That's why he came in there, he started tearing up stuff. Like, what are y'all doing? You people are robbing the Most High here. And you let these people come in here and teach garbage. Okay, this is what he's talking about. You teaching people to break the Father's law. You're going by I said, that's why he said, if you're going to go, if you're not going to have the Holy Spirit with you, then Moses will judge you. Okay, from the Pema Kalunga, from the heavens. Now you got people, and that was so funny because this lady, I was listening to her story. She died, right? She met the god of the Indians, the Hindu god, talking about, and she said, "Oh, it was like Christ consciousness." I'm like, y'all don't get it, man. The devil know how to play the game. How is the Hindu god going to be the Most High? I'm trying to tell y'all, he know how to do this. She saw this really white-looking dude with blonde hair and blue eyes, and she told him the name, and it was the Hindu god. Oh, but I was in a beautiful garden, and I said, do you not understand? The devil knows how to have a heaven. That's Lucifer right there. That's the Hindu god. How is the Most High going to be the Hindu god? Hello, McFly. Okay? He knows how to play this game with you. I'm telling you the truth. Okay? So now, uh, he says it. The destruction by earthquake and the sword. So now, people keep talking about, and this is why they had to come up with all this plate tectonics and all this stuff about, oh, the earth is moving like this. The stupid thinker is coming up with all this garbage again, just like in the days when he was consulting with the Pharaoh. Oh, why is this happening? What's going on? They want excuses. Oh, well, this is what's causing it. No, man. The Most High is doing the earthquakes. The Most High is bringing the fire. The Most High is bringing the tornadoes. The Most High is bringing all of these things. But they out here telling you, oh, pray to God. And pray to who? Like he says in Isaiah, let your idols save you. He don't care about idol worshipers. No. Then he's a hypocrite. You bow down to Baal, he don't know you. Okay, that's what he's talking about. And if you force the children to bow down to Baal, then you got a problem with him. Okay, so all the wars and everything, they doing their job. These fallen are doing their job, but then they're telling you they're the Most High. No. Okay, now watch this. The multiplication of hail and snow. This is meteorologist so-and-so. We're going to get a hailstorm and this is this. Oh, we're going to get a... Look here, man. This is the deception of Operation, what they wanted to call it, Mockingbird. When they're controlling the media and what they say, you can go look it up. I'm not making this stuff up. You can go look it up. They dumped it they dumped it out there in the 80s. The CIA done come clean with all of their things, and they're like, yeah, this was Operation Popeye, weather, whatever. Okay? People talking about weather manipulation. It's not weather manipulation, it's judgments upon the heathen. That's why it snowed in South America when they said, how did it snow down here? It snowed in the desert. What? It snowed. How did this happen? No. If you go read the book of Hanukkah, it said he tells Hanukkah, this is the storehouse of the snow and the hail I have reserved for the days of judgment. So now, for the past 500 years, you don't understanding me, the frozen tundra, the frozen ice, the snow, the hail, everything is because you're praying to the stupid dog god. And they know it. And you're praying to the holy cow up in the food, flying around with his wings, but he's castrated. Okay, the castrated bull. Okay, now watch the next part. The seventh, the wild beast will be their grave. I watched it. I gotta show my wife the video. This woman was on safari out in South Africa, right? She got her camera outside the thing. The lion come running by the side of the truck, snatched her out. Okay, snatched her out of the trolley. They sit there and stop, stop, stop. The lion tearing her up. You don't even know. Then you see the picture. Why are the killer whales attacking the boats now? We see killer whales attacking these ships. They see there's a big old whale who came. He came and smashed these people. He sounded out of the water. He came on the kayakers and just bam, crushed them. Okay, the sharks. The shark. Oh, the sharks eating the people. Okay, hello, it's right here. Oh, the pit bull is eating the little children, and the dogs are. Why are the dogs biting the people? The tiger coming there snatching people in India, carrying the woman off into oh my God, here come the tiger, right? What does it say? The beast will be your grave. You see elephants running people over. Oh, they're stampeding. Oh, the buff. Here comes the elephant. Yeah, you see them how they do the trainer. The one who was stomping his trainer and all this stuff. This is the Most High. All right. Now, the eighth, hunger, pestilence, all alternate with their destruction. The ninth, punishment by the sword and flight and distress. The tenth, thunder and voices. Now you hear people keep saying, we hear these strange noises up in the air. What is that? We hear these boom, boom. They even put it on the news. I know they showed it. Like, what are these sounds and booming and sound? What are we hearing up there and what's going on? Oh, neighbors reported these loud booms and these all this stuff. It's right there. Okay. Everything that is happening to the world is in the scriptures. But the problem is Esau telling you it's science. It's uh it's the weatherman coming telling you this. It's you just had the hurricane that destroyed Jamaica. Hello, right here. You had the hurricane that's destroyed my grandfather's house. In the Caribbean, you had a hurricane that destroyed Florida. You had the hurricane came and hit, okay? You had tornado, you had people's house getting tear up. Oh, but look, the Lord saved me. Yes, there are going to be miracles because the fallen angels can do miracles too, people. It's right there in the Bible. When it says Satan masquerades like an angel of light, what do you think that means? He's going to pretend to be good. Woo, people don't understand. He gonna pretend to do the good things. Yeah, yeah. But he's leaving you, he gonna do always the one for one exchange. I get I'm gonna save one, I'm gonna kill one. I'm gonna save one, I'm gonna kill one. You always gotta do an exchange. You don't know your history of the Europeans. Many people have made deals with the devil going back thousands of years. That's why now people getting saved in the future when they don't get into a car accident. Oh, that angel, he got me. Yeah, because somebody did a sacrifice back in the day that you're not even aware of. It travels down the line, people. You don't think it does, you're going to find out. Then they talk about now the orphan trains and the orphanages and the Great Reset and all this other stuff. Okay? You got to realize their whole thing, especially what happened with Kennedy. Kennedy was supposed to announce who the 12 tribes are. He had the information from Haile Selassie, all the other people, he talking to them. Supposedly, he got this information. He was talking to Elijah Muhammad, but it was more than that. He got the revelation of Toko and Kimbangu because it was all over Europe. Europe knew who he was. Europe knew who Kimbangu was, it was America who didn't know it. Why? Because they knew Bayuda has to purify the Malawi, the Levites. Okay, they brought a lot of the tribe of Bayuda. Now they're coming out telling you, and they put it out there, so I'm not making this up, so it's for information. Oh, they said the guy was scapegoated. Margaret Sanger created Planned Parenthood to do what? To destroy the tribe of Judah among the African American community. This guy came out and said it on TikTok. Okay. Now, they're not going to tell you, they have now showed you the slave ships. Okay, Judge Joe Brown even said he did the scuba diving. They talk about where the slave ship. Of course, they destroyed them all because they didn't want the evidence to show you that all of those slaves were. See, this is why I get upset because no, they changed our name because we had Hebrew names. So of course, those who are going to keep feeding themselves and not the flock are going to keep acting like this wasn't the case. I was in the island of Curacao. The lady was right there. She said, "Yeah, we know, but we can't say it out loud." They have the manifest of everybody had a Hebrew name or Banabetu name, and they had to change it to a Spanish name, to a Portuguese name, to a German name, to a French name, to an American. It didn't matter. They had to change the name because it's illegal. You cannot attach us to a dead entity unless you change our name. If you change our name, we are now attached to a dead entity. This is how they know they had to change the scriptures the same way. You got fallen angels in the Bible being called good. Okay, whatever. See, Quran is the same. See, all the Quran was were more of the scriptures that were suppressed. Now they're going to come telling you that Barnabas was the way. Okay, Barnabas is being misinterpreted because all of the Abafundi, the Balangoki, had value, including Judas, Yehundi. Yes, he had scriptures because he had a scribe. You think he didn't? Yes, he did. Okay, they had people write. You don't understand. While they were sitting there talking and interacting, they had people writing stuff down. Okay? That's why he said, if your work is not better than the Pharisees, scribes, and hypocrites, then you will no wise see the kingdom. So they had to make sure that everybody's work was below par. Okay, what they called below par, meaning that the Pharisees, the hypocrites, the rabbis, okay, the Ashkenaz, that's what par stands for, the Pharisees, Ashkenazi rabbis. Okay, par. Okay, you got to be below their teachings. Okay, you cannot be above them. So now everybody is a Talmudist, whether you want to be or not. When you following the people teaching you lies and believe in them, okay? You follow the Wizard of Oz, you're a Talmudist, it doesn't matter, okay? The problem is he is in possession of stolen property. He has sheep that are not marked with Cain, and he's refusing to return them. Now going to come to shepherd, I'm coming to get my sheep, I don't care. So they're trying to say, no, we're trying to ruin all of them so you have no sheep to come and get. Okay? While at the same time making people talk about the rapture doctrine was invented in the 1700s. It did not exist. Okay? The secret societies invented it in 1700s. Rapture the church. What? Man, the church cannot be defiled to get to the Most High. No way. Nobody praying to a pagan is going to get into the kingdom. Not going to happen. Rome even took Christmas and moved it from March 25th to December. Who was born December 25th? Oh, yeah. Baby Tammuz, the rebirth of Nimrod. Nimrod was born in, that's why they have it flipped. Nimrod was born in July. Okay, Christmas in July. That's where that comes from. Okay, Christmas is coming. That's Nimrod. Okay, you don't believe me, you're going to find out the hard way because now the vampires don't care. They even coming out showing you, yeah, we vampires, we this, we that. They show the person on camera, this is a real life vampire. His teeth come out like this, okay? You think they put it in the movies. They know they're showing you. You're praying to the vampires. Eddie Murphy tried to give you the hint when he's trying, hey man, I'm trying to tell you, I work for this vampire. Okay, he got, I don't know the name he gave him. I forget the name, but they all have different names. They say I'm this, I'm that. No, it's the Enlil, man. Enlil is black and he's a vampire. Go keep praying to him, whatever. All praises. So now this is showing you They already understood this was going to happen. There's somebody there. There's Bobby. Okay. So now this is where we are. Why do you think the government went on a shutdown around Rosh Hashanah? Because that's when they did it. The government shut down on not Rosh Hashanah, on the other holiday, uh Yom Kippur. It shut down right on Yom Kippur. You know, you go look at when Yom Kippur started. Let me tell you. Let me show you right here. Yom Kippur 2025. Come on, man. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Let me do it. Okay. Yom Kippur 2025, October 1st through October 2nd. When did the government shut down? October 1st. You think I'm making this up, dude? Look at this right here. Okay? It's shut down on Yom Kippur. You want to know when it's going to probably reopen? I'm going to show you. I not be spelling it right. Watch this. I wouldn't be surprised. They're going to take you all the way into Hanukkah if they should decide to even do it. And I'm telling you, this is December, and they're already talking about it. They're going to initiate all of the changes. Why do you think they're congratulating a Muslim who just won New York's mayor? There is a holiday celebrated by the Muslims in December before Christmas. Now you got Hanukkah. Hanukkah was back in September, people. That was the 12th and 13th month. Okay. They even do Kwanzaa. We already passed Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa was back in September. Okay. They're gonna do what's the other one? They all the Indian, even the Indian people, okay? They know this the Saturnalia starts hold on, I'm gonna show you that because they still celebrate it. Okay, Saturnalia 2025. Look, it's gonna start on Wednesday, December 17th to Tuesday, December 23rd. This is a witches and warlocks feast day. Look here. Look what's gonna happen. It happens, and see, Wednesday is named after Christmas because Wednesday is Odin, which is Odin is the Norse god, which is the same as Helios to the Greeks and the Romans, and who is Osiris to the Egyptians. And then he is known as the god El to the Canaanites. Okay. Do you understand now why December the 7th, 1941, the date that will live? That war started right around Hanukkah. Yeah, okay. You keep believing that December is the 10th month on the Babylonian calendar. Okay. That's why it calls with Deci. Deci means 10. So how does it now become the 12th month? Because Julius Caesar said, we're going to now move the beginning of March, which is named after Mars, to Janus, which is January. That's how it got moved. Okay. When they were following the Babylonian calendar, and he said, no, we're going to now start it with our god Janus. Okay. It's spelled with an I. Okay. So now the then they added the 2 months of Enero, which was what it really was called January, and Febrero. February, because they only had 10 months. Okay, they didn't have the 12 months yet. And then he made the day 365 according to whatever they were studying. I said there was the sun guy was messing with him because that's because most I said that's why you don't know about the other suns. Okay, they covering it up. That's why they really spraying and trying to hide it. The MasterCard tells you this. Okay, so now they moved everything to the winter. Nobody was born in the winter. He was a spring lamb. Okay. He was never born in the month of December or January. No, he was not. So let them keep telling you the story. Oh, yeah, he was born. They know Christmas was on the 25th of March. Happens to be my wife's birthday. They changed it in 339 AD. Who was the emperor then? Okay, let's do it. All right. All right, let's look at it. Oh, Constantinius the Second. 339 AD. What did he do? He moved Christmas from where? The 25th of March to the 25th of December. So who was he worshiping? His god was Mithras. He worshiped a god called Mithras. So now it says it here, ruled the eastern provinces and enacted new anti-Jewish laws in August 339 AD, prohibiting Jews from owning Christian slaves and executing those who circumcised male slaves. Interesting. Because I know this wasn't us. He probably talking about you know who. Okay. Now, so Constantinius the second. Now here's his name. Flavius. Remember there's a guy that was called Flavius Josephus. I know this because they teach it in the churches now. They talk about him, who happened to be a Banabertu who was a sellout, just like everybody else. Constantinius. From Thrace he reigned, saw constant warfare on the borders against the Sasanian Empire of the Germanic peoples. Oh, who are they? The barbarians. Okay, let's while internally the Roman Empire went through repeated civil wars, court intrigues, and usurping, his religious policies inflamed domestic conflicts that would continue after his death. So what was he doing? He was changing once again the Most High's beliefs into whatever he felt was the way they should worship. I'm gonna tell you, you keep going by Caesar's Messiah, you be my guest. Right here, they're showing you. Constantinius was the son of Constantine the Great, who elevated him to the imperial rank of Caesar on the 8th of November. Yeah, that's today. Imagine, that's why we got some stuff going on today, right? Oh, yeah, there's some stuff going on right now. 324, and after whose death became Augustus with his brothers, Constantine II and Constance on 9 September. Yeah, back in they had something going on in the September night, right? Oh, what happened right around September night? Oh yeah, Charlie Kirk. He promptly oversaw the massacres. Now watch this. He promptly oversaw the massacre of his father-in-law and uncle and several covens, consolidating his own power. The brothers divided the empire among themselves, with Constantinus receiving Greece, Thrace, the Asian provinces, and Egypt in the east. For the following decade, a costly and conclusive war against Persia. Okay, remember, there was no Islam in 337, what is it? 337 AD. There's no Islam. And you don't hear nothing about Judaism being even mentioned yet. Okay, now, uh, took most of the continued time and attention. In the meantime, his brothers Constantine and Constance warred over the western province of the empire, leaving the former dead and the 304 latter sole ruler of the west. The two remaining brothers maintained an uneasy peace until 350 Constans were overthrown and assassinated by the usurper Magnentius. So, do you not understand the history of these people is assassination? Oh, they assassinated Lincoln. They did Kennedy. They assassinated this king, this king. What do you think they keep doing this for? Okay? They've been doing this stuff, okay? They know this is who they are. Okay, unwilling to accept Magnentius as co-ruler, Constantius waged a civil war against the usurper, defeating him in Battle of Mursa Major in 351 and Mons Seleucus in 353. Magnentius died by suicide after the latter, leaving Constantius as the sole ruler of the emperor. Okay, 351, Constantinus elevated his cousin Constantinus Gallus to the subordinate rank of Caesar to rule in the east, but had him executed 3 years later after receiving scathing reports of his violent and corrupt nature. Shortly thereafter, in 355, Constantinus promoted his surviving cousin, Gallus the Younger, half-brother Julian, to the rank of Caesar. Okay, in the scriptures, when they were going to crucify Musinisi, Fumayeswe, Yesu, what did the Sanhedrin say? We have no God but Caesar. Okay, if you think this changed from the time the Messiah was crucified until now, you have now seen how you have been played for the last 2,000 years by the solidarity or the secret societies. They don't care about the Christ. They are all about power and who rules and who orders, just like they said it in the movie. It's about who ordered. And see, the problem is during this time frame, you can bet there was a lot of going on. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. Because there was homosexuality among these people. You better believe it. And also, they practice similar things like the island of Lesbos. Okay, you don't even know. All right. Emperor Constantius promoted, where did that star thing come from? There you go. Now, banned pagan sacrifices and issued laws against Jews. His military campaigns against the Germanic tribes were successful. Now, here's the problem. You see, there's an issue here. There's Jews, and then there's Germanic tribes. These are not the same people at this time. So you got an issue here. So now you know that our people, Banabeta of Isolele, and we have this problem with the Levites, they still wanted to sacrifice animals and build the third temple that Tatanzambi destroyed. This was put together when the Germanic tribes and our people mixed and created Judaism. That's why Tatanzambi says the biggest enemy of Jacob is Jacob himself. Okay? Because the Bayuda, the Banabeta of Isolele, we never stopped wanting to do paganism. So here's Caesar telling us, stop doing it. But of course, the Khazarian war was going on with the Hittites. The Germanic tribes are connected to the Hittites, the Jebusites, Amalekites, all of that. And this is this is Yapeta. Rome and Asia, this is all Yapeta because they had the land where it was cold. But see, in Samu, he had the land that was hot and cold. And then Kami, he had all the hot. So the Canaan, see, this is how they know they lied. The tropical regions were all hot. So this is where Canaan would have had to be in the Amazon and all this sort of stuff. That's why they named the river after the one under one after Wonder Woman, the Amazonian, damn stupid witch, the witch of the East. I'm gonna kill you and your little dog too. That's Wonder Woman and her whatever. You're gonna find out. That's evil E. The Emperor Constantine, and see, in this time, this is who they call Istor. E-A. All right, let me show you. And I'm almost done. I didn't mean to, I needed to break this up, but I didn't. I meant, all right, Istor. Istore. Nah, it's not the. So here we go. The Easter goddess is a figure named Eastra, which was spelled Ostra. Oh, where you think the name ostrich come from? Yeah, they're showing you. So who killed the ostrich? The witch, a goddess of spring, dawn, and fertility, associated with the Anglo-Saxon and Germanic pagan traditions. We trying to tell y'all, we did not call nothing no Easter. The Germans did this. Okay? We're showing you this. But no, we don't know what we're talking about. So now here we go back. His military campaigns against the Germanic tribes were successful. He defeated the Alemanni. That's where in Spanish you get the word German, Aleman. When they say Germans, Alemanni. Okay? And 354 in campaign against the Danube, the Danube. Okay, where you get the river Danube and Hitler. Okay, you don't even know the story. Against the Quadi and Samaritan. Now, these are the Samaritans. The problem is they changed the spelling from the R, the L to the R. Now watch where it says the Somalians were a large confederation of ancient Iranian equestrian nomadic peoples who dominated the Punic steppe from around the 5th century PT to the 4th century. Why do you think they always talking about Iran? They always talking about Iran can't do this, Iran can't do that. People, if you don't know history, or you're going to keep following their version, you're going to keep repeating the bull crap. That's what's going on. The war against the Sasanians, which has been in full since 350, erupted in a renewed instant. And this warfare is all going back to when the Canaanites made war against the world because they hated the fact that they were the bottom. Okay? All these wars never stop. People keep talking about slavery. Slavery never ended. Everybody who worships a pagan god, you are always a slave. It doesn't matter if they pay you or not. You are a slave. You worship pagan gods, you are a slave. Now, the Most High, he had slavery, but he said you don't mistreat the slaves. He said, no, you treat them. Okay. All right, I'm almost done. The Constantines traveled east in 360. Now, during this time is when you have the four councils. Let me get their names pulled up here so you can keep. I wanted you to see this because this is why we're telling you, man. Everybody's being lied to. Okay, so here's what you had. The First Council of Constantinople. This took place in 381 CE. This is what we're leading up to. Okay? This council is where they started to create Christianity the way you know it now. Okay? It says the first council of Constantinople. Okay, the area of Greek was the emperors were Gratian and Theodosius the first decided to convoke the council to counter the Arians and also, so now you hear, didn't Hitler say, I'm creating the Aryan race? Okay, are you hearing me now? Okay, and also judge the case of Maximus, Bishop of Constance. The council met in May. 150 bishops took part, all of them Eastern Orthodox, since the Pneumatic Party had left at the start. After Maximus had been condemned, Meletius, Bishop of Antioch, appointed Gregory of Nazianzus as the lawful bishop of Constantinople at the first presided over the council. Then Meletius' sudden death. Oh yeah, Gregory took charge. How you think that happened? Oh, you think they don't poison people? Hello? Okay. Pope, now it says, who was the table? Pope Damasus demands, namely, the Maximus should be expelled as an interloper and that the translation of bishops should be avoided. But when Timothy, Bishop of Alexandria, arrived and declared Gregory's appointment invalid, Gregory reassigned the. Now, remember, these people are saying, we have the authority of Christ to do all of this. Yeah, right. They lie. They doing it themselves. Then you have the the fourth council of Constantinople, the third council, and the council of Chalcedon. And I'm telling you, this is where all of these worshiping systems now came into what you now call Christianity. You're not talking to the Most High, people. All of this is pagan. Okay? So now this is why we're trying to tell people, you think you're going you're going to the heaven. Let me see what the heaven was called in Rome. The Roman heaven. And I'm gonna get into it. And then we're gonna end with a song here. All right. The main Latin word for Helen was Salem. Oh, what you think you get Salem, Massachusetts? Salem, Salem is pronounced Caelum, which also means sky. Salem, say, well, this is Salem. It's okay? From the Greek used in Virgil's Arsenal, Coleus, referring to the sky god. The word Coleus was also used. Now watch this. Well, hold on. The word callus actually is callus. Now it's pronounced callus. I'm sorry, it's callus. Now you see where you get calluses from. Callus was also used by the Roman Catholic Church for heaven. So they took the Roman word for callus and then adopted it into the church. Callum, the most common inversion word for sky or heaven, was used to describe the celestial realm beyond Earth's atmosphere. Ether, derived from Greek, the word was used the same mention heaven or upper air. Man, I'm trying to tell you, quit listening to people talk about Callum, callus, ether, all of this stuff. That is all Jupiter. And he was black, and he lying. Okay? The Impemba Kalunga, you cannot sell the Impemba Kalunga. You cannot buy the Impemba Kalunga. You cannot sell, you cannot teach people to be hypocrites and get away with it. Okay? You cannot sell or buy the Most High's kingdom to anybody who is already marked with his seal. So many people are marked with Cain you don't even know. This is the reason why. Because remember, all of the Kennedys were considered Roman Catholics, and the Knights Templars were against the Caesars. They were against the King of France, Philip, who's named after a Bantu he's named after a Bantu Balangoki Filopi. Okay, not he's not named after an Ashkenazi Jew. No, he's not. Or a Sephardic Jew or a Hamitic Jew. He's named after a Ethiopian Jew, Banabetu. Okay, that's who he is, Filopi. Okay, hence the reason why you're going to see why they call the women thing fallopian tubes. Okay, Latin is derived from Kikongo. We thank the elder for teaching us this. However, the bread belongs to who? Who does the bread belong to? This is your problem. He's the one that determines, and you got all these people talking about. And then when the Protestant church came into play, the Knights Templars stole it from the Banabetu. Watch. The most I'm going to show you. Yeah, we was doing that. The Knights Templars stole the protest when we went to the Caesar and said, "What are you doing? This is not what you promised us when we signed the treaty." They didn't care. They stole the power. Now Esau going to destroy everybody. Okay, that's what really happened there. All right. So now let me get the song going again. Uh, we're going to get this thing here singing. Like I told you, you are talking to the Messiah who was not preached, not to the one who was. And you are talking to the one who came in his own name, not in the name of the Father. And you have many imposters out here running around teaching you this. You need to understand what I'm saying. You are mixing pagan and non-pagan together. Your God is Lucifer. Telling you. He's lying to people. You cannot do that. Keep listening to the Druids that started way back during the time of Caesar. They're the one that created Christianity because their religion was called Christianos. And when they were following the people of the way, they wanted to keep their traditions. And we're like, no, you got to get rid of it. The other people said, no, we're going to compromise. You said, no, there's no compromise. Well, guess what happened? That's where the war started. And then they wanted to kill us. We said, you cannot do this. You cannot mix pagan and non-pagan ever. Let's see. And there was no us on the end. It was Yeshua. There was no Isus. If you want to keep talking to the pig god, you be my guest. It's just because the Greeks, the Greeks had a god named Isus, and then they wanted to call him our that they wanted to put that name, attach it to our Messiah, and we're like, no, that's not the same. But no, they did it anyway. And now you see what's happening. There, I'm gonna show you. Let me show you what I'm talking about. It's right here. The first century Roman poet Lucian Esus, Tyrannus, was as gods who the Gauls sacrificed humans. Hello, McFly. You think they're still not doing that? Where do you think this whole frazzle drip and stuff is coming from? This rare mention of Celtic gods under their native names in Greco-Roman texts subject of much comment. Almost often commented are the scholia alone by relying on earlier sources which tell the nature of these sacrifices. In particular, the Isus victims were suspended by a tree of bloody dismembered. The nature of the ritual is obscure, but it has been compared with the wide range of sources, including Welsh and Germanic mythology, as well as the violent end of Lindau man. Isus has been connected with identities as Tarvius Tragrius by name, Pilar of Boatman, the Gallo-Roman of the Paris, the myth Isus following or pruning a tree with the bull and the three cranes. Oh, what happens to be the face of the stork god? Yeah. A similar moment to Isus. Okay, I'm trying to tell y'all, this is not our Messiah. And here's how they said it. Jesus. How do you think the Spanish people spell the J when they talk about Jesus? Jesus, right there, Hesus. Okay, we're trying to show you you got the wrong guy. All right, all praises. All praises to Tatanyambe. We are not praying to no more Celtic gods out here, people. You keep doing that, that's on you. All right. Dee, 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 dee. Tondan fumu adi Zulu. Tonda tonda moyami. Vokangeye koganani. Lenden ye mbidi la se tonda. Tonda 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 Yesu. Tondan zambi moyami. Vokangeye kanganani. Lenden ye mbidi la se. Dambio dia nyongo ande. Munankulun sudiandi. Dambio dia lufwa luandi. Mukonkana moyami tonda. Tonda, 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 Yesu. Tonda nzambi moyami. Vokangeye kola nani. Lenden yimbidi la se. Lutilanga mase meto. Yundulanga mwanandi. Nanin sangam benizeto. Nami pele zambieto tonda, 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 Yesu, tonda nzambi moyami, vokangeye konga nani, lenden yimbidi la se, bikambasi badi Zulu, bikampeve zakese, Bikabantu bandi vanzi santin hinu ami zon tonda 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 Yesu tonda nzambi moyami vokangeye konga nani lenden yimbidi la se tonda 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 Yesu. Can you turn the light on? Tondan zambi moyami, wokangeye konga nani, lenden yimbidi la se. All right. All praises. Wanakumba se. Imana. Imana vela Messiah Celto. Luvuvamu. Yala. So, I'm trying to tell y'all, go right ahead and keep praying to these pagan gods because this is what they do. You will never stop being sacrifices unto idols. And the rich people know that this is what they're doing, and they put it out right there. Why now you see why they went after Stanley Kubrick. You want to know the real reason about all that eyes wide shut stuff, and then also the same thing what Eisenhower said. I'm gonna get to that. Eisenhower did his speech about the military industrial complex. You know why? He was also going to announce the truth about what happened between Toko and how he had now become the vicar of Christ in 1949. He became the vicar of Christ. That was the vision that was seen by Lucia. Happens to be the middle name of my deceased mother-in-law, who I never got a chance to meet. Okay, but Lucia is the one who saw the Pope and the man in white who would be killed, and he was not talking about what happened in 1981. She was talking about Toko, but then he came back and was resurrected. He didn't die. They tried to kill him, the man dressed in white. So now, when Pope John fainted as they talked about when he read the third secret of Fatima and he fainted, he put the decree out. The Pope who came after him and he died, the Pope who came after him was involved also with what happened with Kennedy and all that stuff. He was supposed to announce, let's go back to the Jubilee is really 70 years, 1955. Who was the president of the United States? Okay, let's go to it. All right, so you go back to Dwight D. Eisenhower. Dwight D. Eisenhower was the president from 53 to 1961. Now, he was a former general in World War II, and his vice president, of course, we know was Richard Nixon. He was responsible for the black ops that they talked about in the movie. Okay, in Vietnam, the guy said we were in Vietnam in 54 and all this other stuff. But here's what you're not talking about. He was also responsible for the black ops that was going on in Angola and in the Congo and also in Africa. He already knew about stuff like this. Okay, now remember who was running the Angola prior to 1975? Who? The Portuguese. They still were running Angola while he was president, the Portuguese. So now you can understand why the president of Portugal, let's go to Salazar, Portugal, okay? He's the one, right, okay? So now we go to Salazar. He Okay, he died in 1970, and now we know that his death was related to what Toko did. You don't even know the story. All right, so now he was the prime minister of Portugal. Okay, from 1932 to 1968. And you remember at that time, Angola and even the connection with what was going on, because remember the what do you call them? The Belgians were still in control of the Congo. The French occupation of the DRC did not take place until after the so-called civil war that took place in the Congo in the 1960s. So how did the French end up in there? Okay, who put them there? Yeah, you don't know the history. This guy is connected to that because he was not going to capitulate to Toko. Now, what is his religion? They're going to tell you. They usually put religious belief. Where is it? See, he would have been a Catholic, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So here he is. Aggregate. Now remember, he is the the prime minister of Portugal before World War II even started. Okay, remember that. Now look what's going to happen in this. They're going to tell you. The regime of Portugal entered the World War I in 1916, a move that only aggravated the perilous state of affairs in the country currently. The Catholic Church was hounded by the anti-clerical Freemasons of the Republic, and political assassination and terrorism to the commonplace between 1920 and 1925. Okay, so then Senor Salazar would keep the mind of the political chaos at this time when he ruled Portugal. Public discontent, okay, uh, led to the coup d'etat, which was welcomed by most civilian classes at the time. The prevailing view in first with the political parties were elements of division and parliamentarism, which was in crisis, that led to general support of the or least authoritarian regime. Who do you think is behind all of this? Take a wild guess what I just said. All right. So now this guy, he meets with Kennedy about NATO bases. Because remember, Kennedy is also the commander in chief of the military. So then the conspiracy that they're now claiming is, and they didn't want to talk about it, is the military industrial complex. Because remember, the CIA that he wanted to splinter was under the Department of Defense. It was formed out of the Office of Naval Intelligence and also Army Intelligence. Because remember, there was no Air Force at this time. When the CIA was created, then the Air Force came into the picture. Okay? So now Salazar, he goes and meets with Kennedy and says, you're either going to help us, you either want your NATO bases or you want to help the Negroes. And according to the conversation, Kennedy says, I want my NATO bases. They said, okay, then Salazar says, we will take care of the Negroes. Okay? So this guy is orchestrating all-out war. He's working with who? You think he wasn't talking to the Orsini, Rothschild, Rockefeller, Bilderberger, Prescott, Bush, all of these people, the bankers, okay, the brokers, the bankers, okay? You think he ain't talking to them? Remember how they said in the story, war power was to make billions of dollars. It's in its war powers. They talk about it in the movie. You go watch it. It's all going to be coded. Now you're going to understand it. Operation Mongoose in Cuba was a deception. All of that stuff was smokescreen for what was really going on in Africa over the mineral rights that Toko was trying to give back to the people. The mineral rights and everything that we owned, he says, he said, all of these people who came here to teach you, all they're doing is taking the mineral rights and handing them where? Where was it going? To Europe. So now you see why puppet governments were then set up when these supposed, what do you call them, revolutions to freedom. You're going to get a bunch of puppet governments now after this. Supposedly we have an independence. How? So now you see the Africa saying, nope, we want the resources to stay here, which was the prophecy of Kimbangu and Toko already. But the problem is the Black movement is still worshiping the Amun-Ra in the Black form now. This is the deception. You got to be careful. The Kemetis are not our friends, never will be, and won't ever be our friends for the Banabeta of Isolele. And don't think that anybody who comes talking about, like I told you, beware of Greeks bearing gifts. You don't get it. And now it's going to come to an end. All praises. Zola Quingi Sambalolo. Ineweze Yabe Kongo Kutwala. Ingita.